Hi guys, so today, welcome to the channel.
You recorded? Lights gone.
So yes, it's that time again. Two sexy boys with sexy Game Boys. Jaymz and Graeme are versing each other once again to see who can create the greatest Game Boy. So Graeme actually picked up these disgusting Game Boys and they are crusty as holy hell. And we are going to try and make the best Game Boy out of these Game Boys that we possibly can. There are no limits, there are no rules, it's no holds barred. Who can make the best Game Boys? Let's find out.
So this is the Game Boy that I got. Overall it's in pretty bad nick. The screen is goosed, the speaker is goosed. It's in pretty bad nick and it's missing the back. Now the plan is shell replaced, screen replaced, buttons replaced, slider replaced, battery replacement, so get the rechargeable battery in there. I'm also going to add an overclock mod that can be switched off and on, and I'm also going to add Bluetooth. So there's going to be a lot of finicky wires, but we'll see how we go. I'm not sure if the overclock mod can work with the screen because I've heard sometimes it can cause tearing. We'll give it a bash, we'll see how we go. So I ordered my parts off of the US website Handheld Legend. Now ordered the Prestige buttons and silicone membranes, the Clean Juice DMG XL rechargeable battery, the DMG IPS Q5 OSD glass screen lens, and the IPS LCD version 5 with OSD. Now like I said, I ordered all these parts for the States. They did arrive really well packaged and the components themselves were of a really high standard. Now I did test the board beforehand and I wasn't sure if it was the screen that was goosed, so I just decided to proceed as normal. I tested it with the IPS screen and everything seemed fine, but when I did start actually modding the board itself, that's when things started to go a bit funny. Now when trying to install the battery mod, I got messed up a bit and I actually managed to rip the negative terminal off the charging pad. I managed to eventually get that fixed, but then I tried to add wireless charging and that just kind of wrecked the whole board, so I just ended up reverting to batteries. I did also install the Bluetooth mod, however I did find it added a lot of extra noise to the audio, so that got removed because it wasn't very clean. And there we have it. Like that, the Game Boy mod is finally complete. Now like I said, I did have lots and lots of issues with this mod, but it all came down to the board in the Game Boy itself. So I did have to replace that with my original Game Boy, so effectively I just ended up modding my original Game Boy and not the one that I got. But I couldn't figure out what was wrong with the other board, so everything worked on this, so this is what I've ended up doing. The overclock mod works fantastic with the screen. I did read before that there were some issues with the overclock mod, but it did seem to be mostly the overclock mod with the cheaper kind of Chinese AliExpress screens. Because this one was for Retro 6, it all worked out fine. So I'm very happy with how it turned out. The overclock mod itself is just adjusted by this wee switch here. You can see this is just a standard 3-way switch, 2 crystals installed, but I'll go over that in depth in another video. I did have to abandon the battery mod because I wrecked the board trying to fix it, and I did try and add wireless charging. That didn't work, so that's a project for another time. The Bluetooth I did add, however I removed again because it was messing with the speaker too much. The Bluetooth audio wasn't very clear, there was a distortion layer over it, and the same again when the speaker was just active on its own. There was a lot of distortion and a lot of kind of noise, so I ended up just removing that. So effectively it's just reshelled, rebuttoned, overclocked and rescreened, and I think it's pretty fucking sweet.
So first let's go through what we're going to need for this project. So we're going to need some screwdrivers to get into the Game Boy. This little bracket was sent with the Game Boy, and this is what you put your screen into. Next up, we need some new buttons. Then we're going to need the screws, although I did try my best to use the original screws. Then we're going to need some rubbers, as the old ones were pretty damaged and broken. Then we have our shell. I am really impressed with the quality on this, and it's really cool, so yeah, I got this from eBay. Then this is going to be the board that we put inside of the screen. And then our crusty, dingy old Game Boy. Ugh, look at this thing, it's gross. So in total, these parts cost me £86, so obviously I had to buy the new shell, the new rubbers and all the little bits and pieces, but overall I'm happy with what I got. So first off, we just need to remove all of the screws, and these were pretty much straightforward to take out. Then you just got to remove the front part of the Game Boy. We won't be needing this bit, it's this bit at the back that we need. And it's just a simple case of removing quite a few screws and then just lifting it out of the board. But I did need to take the front part apart. Why? Because I need to remove the little speaker part for that, so it was just a little bit grungy and a little bit dirty, so I just gave it a bit of a clean up with some isopropyl alcohol. And this literally was just used with a Q-tip, and oh, the grunge that came off this thing, you could see this hadn't been looked after or touched in over 30 years. And there we go. We have a nice clean microphone speaker. And then I soldered that to the main board. I sort of put my big boy pants on for that. And then it was just a case of giving the actual Game Boy itself a clean, because, you know, this thing hadn't been looked after in like 30 years. I've watched a few Game Boy tutorials and I've seen where they've just sort of like applied a bit of the isopropyl alcohol, because what will happen is it'll get in, it'll loosen up all the dirt and then just evaporate it. So you want to make sure that if you're doing this sort of thing, you want to get rid of all the rust and all the corrosion and all the gunk that's probably been in there for over time. I cleaned up a few of the contacts, and then it was a case of putting it all together. So I put the screen and the new circuit board together. I then started to put the buttons in. On my last build, I forgot to actually put that little switch in there as well, so I had to make sure that was in before I put in the backboard. And then it was pretty straightforward, just a reassembly. So one of the things, because this is a new 3D printed shell, a lot of the screws hadn't been put in before. So when you put this in for the first time, you are actually threading it for the first time. So it's quite difficult to really screw it in. Just gotta remember not to tighten too much. Then it's just a case of attaching the ribbon cables and then screwing everything in. I went for a really simple screen mod and a shell reswap because, to be honest with you, that's all you need. To be able to play all of these old games, that's all you need. And then I went with the classic Turrican. I remember playing this a ton as a kid and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And look at that screen, it's just absolutely amazing. The clarity on it is really good. One of the great things about this screen as well is you can actually change it to about 36 different palettes, which is just amazing. And there we have it, the Game Boy mod is done. Now, one of the things that I really could have done with this is I could have put a USB-C battery mod in the back of it, but I am really happy with it. I gotta be fair, this thing plays amazingly. I love the screen on this thing, I love the shell on this thing, and to be honest with you, it keeps costs down by keeping the battery mod out of it. For anyone looking to do this, it's very easy to do. I am by no means an expert, but I am very happy with the final product. So, what do you reckon?
So, not one but two Game Boy mods in one video, with two takes on the classic handheld. Now, which one of these would you rather play? Let us know down below. Also, we'd love to know what handheld you'd like to mod and what your plan for it would be. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you all again in the next one. Thanks for watching.